Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Single Player Let's Play series. So, today in episode 6, I am going to work on a handful of things. Number one, I'm finally going to do the bridge work that I have promised for so long because that has been completely on me, and I need to definitely get this bridge made. And I was debating between materials and what to use, but we've got so much cobbled deep slate and it has so many cool textures and variants that I think something deep slate-ish with like um, probably some oak and spruce supports would look really good. Something kind of dilapidated, but not overly so. Um, I think I have kind of an idea here for how this will look. So we'll do little bits of like noise here and there, sort of like this. And then we can play with other blocks, like our deep slate variants, because we do have quite a few, to create something pretty fun, I think. So I'm probably going to stick with more like the brick slabs and the cobbled slabs, because these are like a little bit more, not rough per se, but definitely like the really nice deep slate variants. They are a little bit um what am I trying to think here? There's like a point with them where they are like really nice looking. And I just don't want it to be too nice because this is meant to be kind of like a rustic bridge. Um, not meant to be too good looking. And so something like these, the deep slate tiles, that's what I'm thinking of. These are probably a little bit too nice to use all that often, but we will see. So I'm going to get to some bridge building, and I'll report back when we make some progress because this is going to take quite a bit of time to kind of sort out the bridge itself, and I may end up straightening it out. I'm not really sure if I'm going to straighten it out. I think I'd really rather it just be diagonal because we take this pathway all the time, but we'll see. Okay, well, I would call that a bridge. I know it looks pretty bulky, but it's got to be supported with a lot of wood if we're going to hold up whole stones for a bridge. That's the whole thing about bridges, right? Is they have to hold themselves up, and also whatever the walkway is, and also whatever is walking on it. So I think I did an okay job here. I'm not like this. I'm never good at bridges, so I am proud of this only on account of the fact that I am bad at building bridges in general. And so, yeah, I will take this, especially it being a diagonal bridge, having that little divot there, having a couple of just kind of noisy textures and stuff, I'm pretty happy with. I started to build out a little pathway as well, just kind of a randomly um, swathed out pathway here with a couple of lanterns on it, just to sort of help us get to where we tend to go a lot, which is, either over to the bridge over there. I'm going to set up another one kind of over this way as well. It may eventually kind of fall off, but my goal is to sort of, whoops, let's do that, is to sort of have just a bunch of nice lighting around, and just sort of start to have things out. And as we, develop our world here a little bit, and we get things looking really good, obviously I'll go through and clean stuff up and I'll make things look better. And I think, part of what makes things look better is just like your path blocks a lot of times. So I'll definitely be going through and like, investing better materials into a path rather than just, kind of this messy solution here. We'll go with nicer pathing for a little bit here and there, just kind of as we can, because right now there's definitely just a lot of stuff going on. So we want to make sure that we're able to sort of address it all. Um, but at the moment, we're not super far along as far as automation goes. So I do think that keeping it pretty simple like this is just kind of beneficial. I think it helps the look a lot. It also kind of helps with the just the overall feel, like as you go along. So I'm gonna finish up a little pathway over here, probably take down a couple of trees, because we do enchant a lot, as you already have noticed, I'm sure. Enchanting is very important in this pack, just on account of the fact that we don't have any other methods of getting things like fortune or looting. You have to enchant to it. There's no augment system for tools like tinkers, so just another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, I think just like a nice little pathway to over here. I'll put a lantern down there. We'll sort of start to integrate a couple of path blocks I said I was going to do this real quick off camera, but here I am. This didn't actually take all that long after all. And now you can watch my pathing process. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll add a lot of noise, right? So I'll do like, you know, a couple of runs where I'll just kind of spam it around, and then I'll come back and do like, you know, predetermined noise addition or subtraction in this case. Like I thought there was a lot of path blocks there, so we'll take a few out. We'll toss one like kind of over here somewhere, maybe one over here, stuff like that. Whoops, not these two. And by doing this, you know, we've created a nice little area for us to walk through. And now, if I just add a couple of fence posts here and there to replace these torches, we can have a nicely lit and decently, like, you know, lanterns aren't super cheap, but they are just nice enough that when you add them, it really increases the feeling of value in an area. And one of the things that I've been doing a lot, aside from ignoring these skeletons, excuse me, is doing the staggered lanterns. So having one above the other. This is why I have to kill you guys. You can't just leave me alone. And so I really love this look. It just really works well. And we can start to implement like signposts and such as well. So as we go, you know, we'll make things look a little bit more, like I said, put together and thought out. But for the moment, I really do just kind of love the style of, not really, ooh, that's a big one. Let's maybe put that somewhere else. Maybe we could do like, yeah, that looks good. But just trying to put together this style of like coordinated, but also a little bit messy, and that's intended. That's the look, right? That's what I'm going for. And eventually we'll swap out some of these lanterns with copper lanterns and sort of work on increasing the variation with other mods, textures, and other materials that may become available to us throughout. So definitely, you know, looking forward to hearing what you have to say about any of the ways that I'm building right now. But I'm definitely going for that, you know, kind of rustic aesthetic where it's like, you know, these are just like natural paths from wear and tear, stuff like that. So let me go sleep through this night, since it seems like everyone wants to bother me, and then we will figure out what else is available to do today. So I am processing up another, as you can tell, empty PCB, trying to get it etched, and we've got another one in the light box. I moved all of our new Matcraft stuff over here. It seems as though these have gone out. Not a problem. Not a problem. Almost up to another bucket of LPG, which is always good news. And I did want to briefly show something. So we're running into an issue right now, and you can kind of see it in my inventory. I have run out of space for certain types of materials in my storage, and so I wanted to show off a couple of the solutions that we have. So we are out of space in here, and we are going to eventually run out of space in here, but for now I think that one's fine. But what we can do for this one especially is make an upgrade. So there are these upgrades that we can do. I don't believe I've shown this off yet, but maybe I have. But we can upgrade our barrels. Rather than breaking them, we can just create these wooden to iron upgrades, and they can be applied to a chest or a barrel. And since this one is the one that's almost full, we can put it there. And now we have room for a bunch of other things. That's what I did here, and you can definitely see here I did the same thing with a gold tier. But the chest can also be upgraded in place, and what you do is you just make, if it's a double chest, you would just need to have two of them, and it'll apply for the entire double chest, and if it's a single chest, just use the one. So yeah, I think today we're going to look through the quest book again. Yeah, last episode, maybe the episode before that, I can't really remember. I've been all over the place as of late. We started to briefly touch on create, and so I'm going to go get ourselves a little bit more compressed iron, because we're going to need it. And maybe we do 13, and we're going to need more andesite, because at the moment we don't have really any andesite at all, I don't think. Hang on. Yeah, we have no andesite whatsoever. So we're going to need some more, so I'm going to go fetch some more, because we are definitely running low. And maybe, yeah, we'll wait, but I wanted to enchant, hopefully, but yeah, we'll definitely go through and get ourselves at least some supplies to get into create a little further, because there is a lot to create that I want to discover and explore with you guys. Mostly explore. I've already done a lot of create in my time. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show this off really quickly, get some work done with the compressed iron, and then I'm going to get started trying to find some andesite. So I will be back when this is all done. Alrighty, so just got back from a very long mining trip and spelunking trip. Just ran out of torches, headed back up, but I have an inventory full of various stone blocks and some other just, general spelunking resources. So let me get that organized. And as I do that, we're going to run into an obvious issue here where we're going to run out of space. So I'm going to go ahead and grab about 16 iron ingots, and let's go ahead and create two of the wood to iron upgrades for our cobble slash, miscellany chest over here. And if I shift right click, you'll see it applied it to both halves. And now both halves have been upgraded. So now we can toss stuff in here with absolutely no issue and no capacity concerns overall. So let me get this organized. Really quickly, I wanted to take a short break to see how we could do on enchanting. We could do either unbreaking or unbreaking, and I'm going to take my chances here. Sharpness 4. Okay, that's not bad. Efficiency, let's see if we block off you. That could be... Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's not really ideal, but whatever, that's okay. So what we can do now is take our sword. This sharpness 3 just isn't even worth keeping at this point. So I'll upgrade it from silver to iron, and then from iron to diamond. And that will get us a nice new sword to fight with that's going to last us longer. You can see if we do maybe this, level 22. Okay, that's a bit much. 26, 22. What is it? Something about my enchanting setup here is confusing me and it. I'd really love to go from Fortune 2 to Fortune 3. That would be quite ideal. I don't know really if I can pull something off like that. Let's see, 26, 22. 24. We can try cheapskate. Oh, okay. Well, that's also not particularly great, but it is what it is. For now, we'll just keep on rolling through these until eventually we might get something decent-ish. Maybe if we're lucky. And so far the enchantments haven't been very nice to us. It looks like Silk Touch at 22, so I will wait for now. And just enjoy the fact that we have a slightly better sword. So yeah. Now, rolling back around into create, while I was out spelunking, I picked up a good amount of andesite. I also turned some of my diorite and cobble into andesite. That's a vanilla recipe that's been around since when they added all the other materials, which I think was like, what, Minecraft 1.7, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. So I did that as well, just to sort of maximize it, because I don't need cobble. I don't need diorite, so it is yeah, diorite. I don't need diorite, so I think we're good there. We have, looks like, 36 compressed iron ingots, and so what we're gonna need is, it's a 2-to-1 recipe, so that's 2 andesite to 1 compressed iron. So I'm just going to do this. So I'm also taking some of the spruce wood over here and turning it into charcoal, because we have so much now, and that way we can start to use some of that renewable resource over here to power our air compressors once we start running through our coal supply. Looks like this is just about done. That got us quite a bit of andesite alloy. So now we can start with the create quest line. I want to see. Okay, you're done. Great. Let's go ahead and take these and turn them into finished PCBs. And we will come back to this. These are used for a lot of things. But right now I'd like to get into create, because there's so many ores that we have that I'd like to start processing really more efficiently. Because the way we're processing them now, we are pretty much bound to always be shy on resources. And so I'd like to come up with a couple of methods that will improve our resource allocations, and see if we can do something about that. So this will give us almost 2 stacks of andesite alloy. I think that is tons, at least from my experience in this pack. We won't really need more. We shouldn't need more. So yeah, that's pretty promising to me. As mentioned, there's that charcoal that I've been cooking up. And so now let's get into create. Before I get into create, I wanted to do something that I don't often do. I wanted to make something rather that I don't often make, and that, let's go and use these crimson stems. That is a painting, and not just any painting, but we're actually going to make a blueprint. So I should have some wool, and if we take paintings and combine them with crafting tables, we can create crafting blueprints. So what I will do is take these torches and move them over to the side a little bit. We'll place our blueprints down here, and these are basically like crafting templates, so that rather than having to walk over to the crafting grid every time and make what we want to make, we can just come here and do it instead, which is a little bit easier, a little bit more lazy, but ideal nonetheless. So what we'll do is we'll start by telling you how to make spruce. And so this will allow us to take any spruce log in and turn that into spruce planks. Now I want you to know how to make these, which this is just a shaft from create. I want you to know that if you take a shaft, which I'll actually make one by right clicking, if you take a shaft and combine it with one of these spruce, we'll make a cogwheel. And if we take a shaft and combine it with 2 spruce, we'll make a large cogwheel. So now I can go through and request cogwheels in bulk pretty easily. If I run out, I'll just come over here, right click it, get more, and we can just right click to make ourselves a bunch of these materials. And so it's significantly easier to craft stuff this way, at least in my experience. And Create has us crafting a whole bunch of stuff pretty much all the time. So that's definitely a pretty big component. Now, another thing that I'd like to do is I'm going to take some of these crimson logs and strip them. And once they are stripped, I'm going to right-click on them with some andesite alloy, and that's going to convert them over into andesite casing. And andesite casing is a very useful material for Create. Right now we have to make this manually through the process that I just showed you, but there are other recipes that we can use as well to automate this. So along the way we can make a deploying setup using a belt or a depot and then a deployer to apply this, and we can automatically strip logs using the sawmill or the mechanical saw, which is more than likely what we will do. On that note, I'm going to quickly, because I just remembered something, I'm going to quickly go take 4 pieces of iron and have them compressed. So the reason that I needed that compressed iron is for a recipe that we're going to come across here shortly. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to sort of sprint straight into the creation of flux so that we can get into ore processing, because at the moment the first piece of ore processing we're going to have is going to require some pretty large scale equipment. And so I'm trying to get there pretty quickly, like I don't want to take too long, and I want to do that and then maybe like wrap our way back around. Now, I'm going to teach this one more recipe, and that is how to make spruce slabs. And then I'm going to teach you with those spruce slabs how to create water wheels. So that is a water wheel, and if I craft one, you'll see that is a quest on its own. And that's a pretty big deal to get these. These are a very simple way of creating rotational energy. They're not very complicated whatsoever. They don't do a particularly large amount of things for us, but what we can do is, craft up a handful of these. And now with 8 of these, we can produce a large amount of capacity, stress capacity. So stress capacity can be thought of akin to or basically the same as torque. Or the amount of torque that a system can handle. So that's pretty good to have that. I definitely think that it's going to be important to keep around. And then as a component that we are going to be working towards, we're going to need to make ourselves a mechanical press. And so this is the mechanical press recipe. This is going to allow us to take recipes that fit in a 2x2 or 3x3 and autocraft them. We can also turn a lot of things into flattened alternatives. So I say flattened because sometimes it's paper, sometimes it's a plate of metal. It really does just depend. But this is very crucial to our progression. It can also be used in a couple of the other recipes. You can compact fluids into items or certain like pretty dynamic recipes. So it's a little bit different from this. This is automatically generated from existing Minecraft recipes. This is like a specific set of recipes that are made in order to produce some result. So you can see here, like this requires a blaze burner. So we're going to go and craft the mechanical press because we're going to need that in order to progress in create. So I'm also going to, oh, you know what? I don't remember the hand crank recipe at all. 3 planks. Okay, so we'll grab 3 planks and we'll do this and an andesite alloy. And that's going to get us a hand crank. So this is also going to let us produce torque, but a very small amount of torque. And that's going to come at the expense of our hunger bar and exhaustion overall. So just keep that in mind as well, is that we can, in fact, forego water wheels if we wanted to, but they're easy enough to get into that I personally really like having them around. So we are going to have some shafts. I might make a couple more. We're going to have, oh, I wanted to teach you how to make a gearbox because a gearbox is going to allow us to rotate rotation, or I guess transpose rotation on the axes, or on the 6 axes, so up, down, and the north, south, east, and west. So we will probably want a bunch of those. Um, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a bunch of these because, these are pretty helpful. I'll make maybe 3 of those. And then let's go ahead and get some more of those. And I think we should be good to go. So like I said, we can put our press down, and if I wanted to manually run this, I could, but that's going to exhaust us, and that's not going to be automatable. I can't just set it and forget it as much as I would like to. And if I wanted to set it and forget it and not worry about items despawning, we will use a depot, which is going to be very helpful for us, to place down items and know that they will not despawn, they won't cause any lag, etc. So we'll make a depot as well. So with our depot and our water wheel and our hand crank in hand, I'm going to go ahead and turn in all these quest rewards. That's going to get us a wrench, which is very, very helpful. You can break any of Create's blocks instantly with a wrench. Just shift right click to destroy it. You can also reconfigure any of Create's blocks by just normally clicking it, but if you shift right click, you'll destroy it, which is very, very helpful. Now, I want to set up this metal press. Oh, that's quite the large tree. I want to set up this metal press. I'm not sure where. I am going to try to keep things a little bit distributed, but right now we're not going to actually do a lot in Create. Create is very complicated, and there are a lot of mechanics that we as forthcoming engineers don't really understand yet, haven't really fully gotten into yet. So I may simply make a very simplified setup over here. Since we would be right along the water, we could pretty easily set something up. So let me go ahead and get this area cleared out enough for 8 water wheels. I think we would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we could do that. And so what we'll do, actually, let's drop this down one. So we will go down a block. And when we place these, you're going to see that they're going to start to spin. This is maybe actually do... Huh. I am not 100% sure how I want to do this. This isn't really all that efficient, so we may actually put this all back and do this just kind of poking out here for now, probably. Or we could actually, let's do it underground. Let's make this pretty hidden. So what we can do is I'm going to dig down underground a little bit, probably down to about here. Switch out for the hammer and do a bit of 3x3 mining. And we'll build out our 8 blocks, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll set down an infinite water spring right here with our 2 buckets of water, because they're water wheels, so they will need to be powered. And what we can do is put that bucket of water down every time we place one of these down. And what you're going to see is these are going to start to spin. I chose 8 for no real particular reason. 8's just a nice round and mathematically satisfying number and computationally satisfying number because it is a base 2 number, or a power of 2 rather. And so with that, I'm going to seal in the water because it's going to get annoying very quickly. Being careful not to cause more problems than I'm trying to fix. And so now we're going to want to use our gearbox. If we put it in the crafting table, we can rotate it, and this will allow us to take energy, or rotation rather, that is clearly rotating on the horizontal plane, right? Like if I wanted to go straight up, how would I do that? Well, I would do that using one of these gearboxes. So if I put the gearbox down, you'll see that it is now rotating the opposite direction on all axes. Think of it as the same as like a differential in a car, right? So there's technically like 4 gears. In this case, there's 4 gears on the 4 sides that we're able to access here, because these sides here are not accessible. And so that's why the recipe calls for 4 small gears. And so what we have here is essentially a differential where we can spit out the rotation in a couple of different directions. Now, I can also apply further real-life mechanics here by increasing the rotation speed here. So if I wanted to gear up our rotation, what I can do, I'm going to give myself a little more space for explanation here, is I can put a big cogwheel down. And the cool thing about creates blocks is they may visually be larger than a block, but they usually do not require all blocks to be cleared to function, unlike mods like immersive engineering. So if I do this, you see that this gear, just because of the laws of you know, I can't remember which law it is. I never was a physics kid. But there are physical laws that explain why this is the case. But basically, the radius of this gear is much bigger. So even though the center is rotating at a fixed speed, the outer radius is going to be rotating at a different speed. One which basically, since it's... You get the point. This is the same rotation speed here, but because of the large radius on this bigger cogwheel, if we're connected to a smaller cogwheel, we can actually increase the speed. And we can repeat that a couple of times. So I can do another one here, for example. Give ourselves a spacer, and then do it here. And now you can see we are now 2 times faster than we were before. And then this is also 2 times faster. So now we are 4 times faster than the base speed of the water wheels themselves. Now I'm going to create a couple more shafts, and I'm going to go straight up. And you can see that there are some placement tools for the shafts. So like if I just look at it, it will tell me where I'm going to place it next. And as mentioned, we can immediately break these down or rotate them. And we're going to put a shaft right here. We're going to put our mechanical press there. And you're going to see that we have an issue, right? Obviously that doesn't connect to this. So what do we need? Another vertical gearbox. The mechanical press does not care what direction the rotation is coming in. Some mods, or some blocks do. It does matter which direction the rotation is coming in at, but this one does not. And we have this ugly hole here, but we can cover it using andesite casings, and you'll see that this does not consume the andesite casing. And you can remove that. Placing it down does consume it, but you can remove it as a cover just by shift-right clicking. I believe if you shift-right click in the center... No, okay, it's just... fine as is. So yeah, we will do something like that, and then I'll put down our depot here. And so at this point, if I were to go and grab 4 pieces of some iron, we can create ourselves some metal sheets. I'm gonna leave that there. We will need that, but that's okay. So, with our nice new pressing setup, we can turn 1 sugarcane into 1 paper. We can turn most ingots into plates, like so. Voila. And with that, we can now go and create ourselves a mechanical saw because we needed a nice, sharp, thin, flat surface to create the teeth of a saw blade. And we also needed some durable materials in order to do that as well. So we can combine these here to make a saw blade. I believe it's like so. Yep. And then the saw blade combined with an andesite casing will produce a mechanical saw. One last thing before we go, there is one other recipe that we're going to want to make, and that is to create ourselves a crude hammer. So this is a engineer's hammer, but this hammer is not complete. It's these are really chunky. You can see these alloys here. They're like really chunky and big and fat. So this crude hammer is like really misshapen. It's like thicker than it's supposed to be actually be effective in some places. So we need to clean this up. It's covered in splintering, unsanded edges and very painful. So we want to clean this up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I want my my mechanical saw is also going to require rotational energy, as you can probably imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and put another gearbox here. Again, these do not care the flow of movement or the direction of rotation, so we can just ignore that. And I'm just going to put that right there. I think that's quite simple. So what I'm going to do is process this crude hammer by, well, hammering it with a larger industrialized press. And as I throw it on the mechanical saw, that looked like it flew away, right? As I throw it on the mechanical saw, we can straighten up the last few couple of those edges. We can clean up the wooden handle a little bit and make this an actual functional saw. So there we go. That is our entry item to get into the immersive engineering mod. And so now immersive engineering and the ability to use and manipulate and store and rotate and change and all the things with Flux, it's now in our hands. We can now do it. Well, kind of. So anyways, we have done a lot this episode. I know that this video might be cut up in a little bit of a weird way, so I do hope that you enjoyed it nonetheless. And that's a trident guy. I'm going to try to get a trident. Hang on. Nope, no trident. Oh well. At least I saw an enderman over here. So I will go ahead and I will go ahead and reignite these. But I will go ahead and call it an episode there. Try to get some ender pearls where we can. And overall, we are doing pretty good in this pack, at least in my opinion. And so I'll kill the fireflies as well, just because they drop glow goop, which can be processed for slime balls, which is very nice. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Again, sorry that it's a little bit wonky. Been a little behind on recording just because of an unplanned, not really vacation, but house sitting. So I don't have my usual gear until today. So I had to sort of rearrange and rework a couple of things. But yeah, next episode we will get into a little bit more create, because we have to create a significantly large enough amount of rotational energy, amount of torque, in order to use an alternator to turn that torque into electricity. So once we can do any of that, we will be in good shape. But right now, I'm going to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.